What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Today we've got some very interesting discussion because the new Super Evolution character to come out is going to be Nami Robin. Now, we're not going to know this character's details for a few days yet, but we will get the details very shortly. I wanted to make this video preemptively to give my thoughts and opinions about this character being the next Super Evolution. Definitely would not have been my choice, and it is a little strange considering we've already had like a Nami and a Robin character come out throughout this OPTC Girls season. You know, the characters that haven't had the representation yet, that kind of still need a super evolution, characters like Vivi Rebecca or Shirahoshi Manshiri would have definitely been my pick over a character such as this. But I mean, I digress. I think this is going to be a good one because this unit does already have really good synergy with a character like Corazon and Law, and I think that they could further lean into that kind of category with the empty slot manipulation, and we'll talk about that as we go along. So just a brief rundown once again on what this character originally did. You have Nami, Free Spirit Striker, Robin, Free Spirit Cerebral, combined Free Spirit Cerebral, Nami Dex, Robin Int. I do feel like they should change this so that the character is Free Spirit and Cerebral across all fronts to make the character synergize a bit better with a lot of different teams. And then you look at the captain ability, very odd kind of structure to this unit's abilities. So Nami's captain would be a Dex Int captain, 3.5, 3.75 with a matching slot, 1.3 health, Dex Int slots beneficial, but if you have an empty slot, you get a 4 times attack boost instead. Furthering on with Robin, she'd actually give you a recovery boost instead, a lower base multiplier of 3.25, but 10% damage reduction was the offset there, and then once again 4 times boost if you have an empty slot. And of course, in their combined form, which was very big at the time, if you have an empty slot, you actually get a 6 times multiplier. And as we know, with the introduction of Corazon and Law, they have an innate ability within their special that can make empty slots have a 2.25 times multiplier, basically making them as good as a matching slot or even better than a matching slot. So you can actually use this 6 times attack boost to the fullest potential, because beforehand, you know, if you have this 6 times boost, it's awesome, but it's only with empty slots, which are not treated as beneficial slots. And another real big detriment to this kind of ability, or trying to lean into this, is the fact that you don't get the best opportunities to utilize super tandem, right? Because you need a tandem slot. So you can't obviously use that. You don't get Wano slots, which, you know, can give or take be better than what you need this to be. But either way, we move on to the switch ability, which is also another unique component to this unit, and I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with this. But it says that if the character has no stocked orbs, you can grab whatever slots you have on your current team and you basically conserve them. So it's really interesting. You can have a full board of like Wano slots, and then you can use the switch ability of this unit, and that full board of Wano slots is now stored on the character, but then all of those slots are changed into empty, which of course with their captain they can get the full higher multiplier with, of course. And then whenever you activate their switch ability again, the stored slots that you have come back and replace the current ones. And the cool thing about this is that this actually allows you to bypass super block slots, which is so fascinating because there's not a lot of characters, if at all, that can really get around it, or once you're inflicted with super block, they're very hard to get rid of. This character can use their switch ability to remove them, which is super weird. Then you move on to their special, which isn't anything amazing, I would say. 25% health cut to a single target, 2.5 orb boost for 1 turn, and 10 turn of paralysis removal, which I think that's actually a really cool component, and hope that we get a little bit more utility buffs with that special. So a pretty interesting unit overall, and I'm really fascinated to see what they're going to do. So here is my little concept that I have at the moment for Nami and Robin, and with this right here we can see that instead of just boosting Dex and Int, it's also going to boost Cerebral, which would fit perfectly with the whole theming of the OPTC Girls batch that we've had throughout the month of July thus far. I think that would be perfect, honestly. So you get the 4.75 times boost if you have a matching slot with Nami, 5 times if it's an empty slot, and then the base attack boost always getting a 4.5 minimum, 1.3 health, Dex Int matching. So not really anything amazing in their base captain. Robin, again, very similar. The damage reduction is increased, and once again, if you have an empty slot, you get a 5 times attack boost. But then obviously in their dual unit, you can have a 6 times boost with an empty slot. I don't think that needs to change. 5 times otherwise, boost HP and recovery by 1.3, Dex Int matching, reduces damage taken by 30%. I believe Luffy and Ace with their super evolution, because Luffy's side of the thing had damage reduction and then it got buffed pretty significantly, so I assume that to be the case here as well. But in their dual unit, I feel like they need to have a point of difference. And with this unit here, when you tap on this unit with an empty slot in their dual captain, it will reduce all enemies' beneficial effects by 1 turn. So very similar to the super type of Super type Blackbeard. Being able to remove 1 turn of any positive buff on the enemy side of the field is amazing. So hypothetically, if they've got like 6 turns of damage threshold, you can remove 5 turns of it and then start the chain with this character on an empty slot, and you can remove that 1 turn extra that you couldn't remove otherwise with a support or another special. You can use this character's captain ability to remove any beneficial effect on the enemy side of the field. So I don't think they're going to do this, but if you have some type of mechanic where if they have an empty slot, you get a beneficial effect for doing it, I think that's what they need to do. You know, give people purpose to use this character as a captain and make the unit have a point of difference, and that's what I really hope that they do with these Super Evolution characters. Now, the special ability that I've concocted here is actually pretty crazy. I don't think they're going to follow this exactly, but I've made the health cut a lower 20%. It is only to 1 target, but very similar to the Dex Super 10 and Whitebeard, it bypasses everything, including normal attacks only. Again, another point of difference. That Super 10 and Whitebeard is not going to see too much play, but the fact that he does have a health cut that can go through everything is still pretty big. And you know, mind you that the gray shield effect will still negate those health cutting effects, but being able to you get a health cut through normal attacks only is pretty big, so I think that would be awesome. Then, if the crew is inflicted with paralysis when you launch the special, it will give you a 2.25 times color affinity and a 2.5 all boost for 3 turns for Dex, Int, and Cerebral. If you're not inflicted with color affinity, then you still get both of the boosts, but it's only for 1 turn instead of 3. But then, of course, you have the effect of removing paralysis by 10 turns. And then I decided to add bind removal by 10 turns as well, because why not? You know, just give it a bit of extra stuff. You know, because you've got like Nami side of things removing paralysis, and then I guess for Robin, we just decided to put bind. But you could put any other debuff there. Another debuff removal by 10 turns would just be a really nice thing to add. And then, of course, combining into the dual unit for 3 turns. But this is the big thing here. We need to discuss what the switchability of this unit is going to be, because that is probably one of the most important things. And one of the most annoying things that I found when using Nami Robin is the fact that, you know, you really have to think ahead as to when you're using their switch effect, because sometimes you switch and then you get back slots that you don't want yet. But another thing is that with this kit that I've built so far, it is kind of, you know, really built with this empty slot mechanic in mind. So what I've done is that when you activate the switch ability, you can choose to stock the slots that you currently have. And then if you do opt to stock your slots, then you get a full board of empty slots. But then it says that if you already have stocked slots, you can choose to change the cruise slots into the ones that you have stocked. So my ideology would be is you can just continuously switch them as much as you want. However, you only get the empty slots if you don't have any stocked slots, and you can only, you know, get these stocked slots if you have them stocked, obviously. But it's not like you can just get empty slots every single turn. You can only get empty slots if you are removing slots that are already on the crew. So there is still a bit of thinking in mind, but being able to just continuously switch and not have to worry about getting slots that you don't actively want just yet, I think is a really good idea. And it means that, you know, we have a look at this component here, is that it will change the attack multiplier of empty slots to become matching slots for 1 turn. I think this might be a little bit too broken in a switchability to just generate a full board of matching slots, pretty much. I think this could probably be changed to lowering the multiplier to something a little bit lower, maybe like a 1.25, just so that like they're not as good as a matching slot, not even as good as a G slot. Potentially you could change it to become a G slot, something like that. Maybe a 1.25 I think is relatively fair, because when you get a full board of these neutral slots, it doesn't really mean that much, but if you can just get a little bit of a boost out of them, I think that would be pretty neat. And then of course the super switch, only having to do 4 switches, you could probably increase that, but then it is exactly the same, but the attack multiplier of empty slots is 2.25 and it lasts for 3 turns. So going for that super switch is obviously ideal. Being able to get these empty slots, get them and be even better than a matching slot is obviously amazing. But this is just really cool because this super switch and switch are going to be really useful if you opt to use them as a sub as well. So if you use them as a captain, you can abuse this really cool captain ability effect to remove beneficial effects. But if you use them as a sub, you can just generate matching slots, you know, remove bad slots that are given to you. You can stock early slots, jump them in later. Like there's some really cool mechanics you could do if they were built such as this. And then with an ability that can give you bind and paralysis reduction, you've got a special that can boost Dex, Int, and Cerebral, so they work in a lot of different teams. I think that a unit such as this would be awesome. So that's just my brief opinion as to the super evolution of Nami and Robin. Definitely let me know down below in the comment section what you guys are hoping for this unit, because this has potential to be a really good super evolution, but considering how complex this unit is, there is a very high possibility that it just might be an absolute fail. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. Hopefully you enjoyed the video though. If you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.